Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Vice President Town Hall meeting. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Larry Salas, APFA Vice President. We'd like to begin today by giving you a brief overview of the Vice President's Department, which includes the System Board of Adjustment, or SBA. Our primary responsibility is to oversee the grievance and arbitration process provided for in the Railway Labor Act and our collective bargaining agreement. There are 7 regional reps in the SBA department that assist with this process who will defend and protect your rights in your grievance proceedings at a national level. Let's start by introducing them. I'll begin with the Region 1.
Hi everyone, my name is Nick Bader. I represent Los Angeles and San Francisco. I have been a flight attendant for just about 9 years, and I've been working with APFA for about 5.
Thanks, Nick. Region 2.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grace Allen, and I represent Dallas. I've been working with the company for approximately 34 years, and I've been doing union work off and on for about 25 years.
Thank you, Grace. Region 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robin Walters. I represent our Phoenix and Chicago bases. I have been a flight attendant for 21 years, and I have done union work on and off for about 10 years.
Thanks, Robin. Region 4.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pat Napper. I represent Miami. I've been a flight attendant for 35 years, doing union work for 30 years, and working in the SBA department for 8 years.
All right, thanks, Kat. Region 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Raymond Lewis. I cover Boston and LaGuardia. Been flying for 22 years, and I've been doing APFA work for the past 11 years.
Thanks, Ray. Region 6.
Hello, everyone. I am Mark Gentile. I'm the regional representative for Charlotte. I have been doing union work for the past 20 years, and I have been flying for a short 43 years.
Thanks, Mark. Region 7.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alan Boswell. I'm the regional representative for Philadelphia and DC. And I've been flying for 32 years, and I've been doing union work for about 30 years.
Thanks, Alan. I'd also like to introduce APFA's legal in-house counsel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margot Nikitas. I'm the APFA in-house general counsel, and I've been practicing union side labor law for almost 10 years.
Thanks, Margot. And of course, we have Josh helping us out here. Josh, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary. I'm Philadelphia based. I've been with American for 7 years now, and so glad to have all of you on today. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, for helping us put this together. So let's begin with the explanation of the Vice President's Department and SBA. So the Vice President's Department, along with the 7 regional reps and APFA's in-house counsel, are responsible for all notices of dispute. This includes individual, group, or base nods that are not settled at the local level. This would also include terminations and presidential grievances that are filed by APFA, as well as the disposition and resolution of each of these up to and including arbitration. For individual, group, or base nods, the grievance process starts at the base level. When you dispute a contractual violation or any action of the company, you will file a dispute with your base representative. They will fight your grievance at the base level. If the issue is not resolved at the base level, your grievance will be sent to our department and assigned to the regional representative that represents your base. They will prepare your case and meet with the company to resolve your issue. If your case is not resolved in settlement talks, it will be reviewed by the Grievance Review Committee. And if it's determined that your case moves forward to arbitration, your regional representative will represent your case to the arbitrator at the Quarterly System Board. So you may be asking, what does it mean when your case is referred to the Quarterly System Boards, or as we refer to it as QSB? The Quarterly System Board meets 4 times a year. They, along with an outside arbitrator, which would include a member of the union and the company, hear the case, and both the company and the union presents their case, and a decision is rendered the same day. The decision by the panel is binding. Now, due to the complexity of termination and presidential grievances, those are not covered in quarterly system boards, but they're presented in separate arbitrations. The vice president, regional representatives, and our APFA legal in-house counsel will present those cases. So this is just a brief overview of our process. You can find a detailed contractual description of this in section 30 of our joint collective bargaining agreement. So let's start by discussing some of the frequent cases and questions that our department has dealt with. One of the biggest questions and comments we're receiving right now is regarding the staffing changes that the company implemented late last year. Our position at APFA, now that full services have returned, we're demanding that the company return staffing levels to the pre-pandemic levels. Management doesn't look at it that way. They continue to blatantly refuse our request. And our flight attendants take pride in delivering a premium product to our customers, but management only appears to be concerned with lowering labor costs with no regard to the impact of staffing reductions on our flight attendants and their ability to provide a high level of service, especially in our premium cabins on the 777-300 and the A321T. It's evident that management never thoroughly evaluated the impact of one person performing a premium service that includes much preparation, multiple meal courses, plating, and delivering a premium service in our highest premium cabins. Based on the reports that we've already received, the workload has become unreasonable and unrealistic for one person to effectively complete service to the level that our customers expect. We understand and recognize our flight attendants' frustration and have created a new staffing levels reporting form for flight attendants to share their concerns and feedback regarding the staffing and service levels. It is available on the homepage of apfa.org, and we encourage everyone who has experienced issues due to the reduction in staffing levels on the A321T, 777, or 787-9 to submit this form. This form is for data collection purposes, and we will use these submissions in our upcoming arbitration on the presidential grievance regarding reductions in staff. Section 10 Q3 of the JCBA states that while it is understood that the company shall have discretion in changing staffing levels or service levels, the APFA shall be afforded a safeguard against a company abusing that discretion. Accordingly, APFA shall have the right to file a presidential grievance if the company abuses its discretion by assigning an unreasonable workload to flight attendants. On December 2nd of 2020, APFA filed a presidential grievance regarding the reduction in staffing levels. We are currently in discussions with the company on setting an arbitration date for 2022. All right, moving on to another set of questions that we've received regarding the vaccine mandate and the reasonable accommodation process. While APFA believes the vaccination is our best defense against illness or death from COVID-19, we fully recognize that some of our members have very strong concerns or beliefs regarding the COVID-19 vaccination. APFA has had requests from some individuals asking us to negotiate reasonable accommodations for those that may be entitled to an accommodation, either for a sincerely held religious belief or qualified medical disability. There seems to be some confusion and a lack of understanding of reasonable accommodation under the law, so we wanted to try to provide you with a clear understanding. So there are two laws that provide for reasonable accommodation. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 provides for reasonable accommodation of an employee's sincerely held religious belief. Title I of the American with Disabilities Act provides for a reasonable accommodation of an employer's qualifying disability. These laws are enforced by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC. Under both laws, the reasonable accommodation is a private matter between the employee and the employer. The employee must request the accommodation and then provide all the information necessary to support that request. A union cannot secure the accommodation for a member. As each case is specific to the individual requesting the accommodation, the laws do not specify what the accommodation must be. The employee may suggest a specific accommodation, but the employer is not obligated to offer that particular accommodation if there are other accommodations available. Both laws state that the accommodation cannot create an undue hardship on the employer. The company has clearly communicated that employees who do not wish to be vaccinated on either of these grounds may request a reasonable accommodation. We do not know what those accommodations may be, as it, again, is a private matter between the employee and the company. For those flight attendants requesting an accommodation, APFA will make sure management abides by the letter of the law where the executive order and reasonable accommodations are concerned. Please keep in mind that any member has until January 4th of 2022 to submit proof of vaccination or a request for an accommodation. Flight attendants who cannot be vaccinated because of medical disability or a sincerely held religious belief may visit www.aa.com/accommodations to request an accommodation no later than January 4th, 2022. Also note that if you've previously filed a notice of a dispute regarding the vaccine mandate requirement, you are still required to submit proof of vaccination or request an accommodation no later than the January 4th, 2022 deadline. All righty, let's move on to one of our topics that we wanted to cover today in regards to social media and social media best practices. And before we get into the questions and answers, we're going to have Margot give us, a legal background on social media. Thanks, Margot.
Thanks, Larry. So one of the common questions that people ask right away is, well, what about the First Amendment? Don't I have a right to free speech in this country? Well, the First Amendment prohibits the government from suppressing speech. It doesn't apply in the private sector workforce. So American Airlines being a private sector employer, you don't have First Amendment rights on the job. So it does not prohibit discipline or discharge related to posts that you make on social media. And as we'll see as we get farther into, the company does have a social media policy that we will discuss. There is a federal law that applies to electronic communications. It's called the Stored Communications Act. However, this is a law dating back to the 80s, and unfortunately the law has really not kept pace with technology. While it has some protections, it doesn't apply to a situation where one of your social media friends shares screenshots of your post with management, as we know sometimes does occur. There are laws on the state level, including in California, Illinois, and Virginia, that prohibit employers from asking for your social media password. However, in the context of an investigation of employee misconduct, it's possible that, and likely, that the employer may receive copies of your Facebook posts. So you heard Larry talk about our grievance process and that we have arbitrators who hear decisions. So we need to look at how do they view incidents of employee misconduct that are alleged involving social media. So first, the arbitrator will look at, did the social media post take place on duty or off duty? In on-duty conduct, arbitrators will generally uphold discipline when an employee violates a rule, like the social media policy, that where the post explicitly violates a rule. The arbitrator also considers what is the nature of the content that the employee is posting about. Now, for off-duty conduct, and employees will often say, well, you know, I was off the clock. I wasn't on a layover. I wasn't flying. I wasn't doing any of that when I was posting on social media. However, there are instances where you may be disciplined for posts that you do off-duty. So the arbitrator will consider, is there a nexus between the social media activity and the workplace? Is there some connection to what you posted off-duty and your employment? So the factors that an arbitrator will look at are, did the post harm the employers and business in some way? Often these posts will involve disparaging comments or criticisms about the employer. Did it adversely affect the employee's ability to perform their job? Or did it lead other employees to refuse to work with the person who made the post? And please understand, and we'll get into more examples of this later, if you post about American Airlines, disclose that you work for American, or post photos of yourself in uniform, it will be easier to establish that your post had a nexus to your employment. Arbitrators will also look at, was there an expectation of privacy in the post? Some arbitrators will say yes, if you have the highest privacy settings on your Facebook or other social media page, such that only your friends can see your wall. However, many other arbitration decisions will say that employee social media conduct is not private regardless of the user's selected privacy settings. And therefore, that just because you put it on the internet, you should have an understanding that it might become public. Arbitrators also examine whether the social media posting contains threats or conversation about harassment. There was a case called AirTran Airways, where the arbitration board upheld a 3-day suspension, where the flight attendant used his Facebook account to criticize the employer's scheduling department for assigning him an additional flight segment. His posts included, "That's it, scheduling is dead. They are all expletive dead. And dear crew scheduling, please rot in hell." And there were exclamation points used. The grievant did not name any specific individual, but the arbitration board concluded that a threat was made. And in finding the presence of a threat, they looked at his use of exclamation points and the specific language that he used. And the arbitrator noted in that decision that even though the grievant used the highest privacy settings, the discipline was still reasonable. It also bears mentioning that arbitrators have upheld discipline even where the grievant did not write the posts themselves, but merely shared a post that another person made or liked it. And this has especially been held up in cases where the content of the post was about involved racial comments or comments about sexuality. So that's an overview of the legal landscape.
All right, thank you, Margot. All right, so let's get into a little more specifics here regarding the company social media, regarding emails, instant messaging policies. And Alan's going to cover that section for us.
All right, thank you, Larry. You can find a lot of this information regarding the company's social media policy on JetNet. As in many things in JetNet, it can be hard to find, but if you go up to the search icon in the upper right-hand corner and type in social media, it'll take you to various links for the social media policy. As a general overview, always be respectful, use good judgment. A reminder that online is forever and nothing should be considered private. Don't create any company accounts, especially using company logo or any brand. We are safety professionals and safety always comes first. Again, avoid the use of company materials, anything that you receive as a CCI message, NS list with the crew names on it, that should not be posted. Again, confidential information or private information about another employee should not be posted either. As a general rule, for your social media pages, you don't own your Facebook page. That's Mark Zuckerberg, so keep that in mind. We have examples of good posts. We just had a number of new hires graduate yesterday. I think it was 606 days from the beginning of their training because their training was stopped because of the COVID pandemic. So they were very excited about graduating. They were posting some wonderful pictures of their classmates, their instructors, and how excited they were to go to their new crew base. Those are good posts that follow the company policy. A bad post would be obviously taking a picture of a passenger or crew member with a derogatory comment. As Margot pointed out, something about crew scheduling should be avoided at all costs. The company has a right to issue work rules and policies, and this right has been recognized by both arbitrators and the courts. If there is language in the collective bargaining agreement in our contract that conflicts with a work rule within the company, the language in the contract takes precedent over the company policy, and work rules can be grieved. And also as a reminder that they can't have different policies for different work groups. They have a social media policy that governs all employees within the company. So what is applied to the pilots and the flight attendants and to the agents is uniform across the system and has to be applied fairly. But if you are disciplined or discharged for an alleged violation of this policy, please make sure you file a grievance immediately.
All right, thank you, Alan. All right, Alan touched upon some of the things you want to avoid posting in social media, and Nick's going to continue with that presentation.
Thank you, Larry. So my list will touch off Alan and a little bit of what Margot said about some of the specific things that we have seen happen on social media and things to avoid to try to keep yourself out of trouble. The first one, as Alan said, do not post any proprietary documents or information on any social media platform. This includes screenshots from mobile CCI, Sabre, like NSs or copies of sequences, or any information off of JetNet. Examples of that are standby list or any company communications. We also ask that you please do not post any information about layover hotels on any social media platform, as one, it is a safety issue, and two, it is a proprietary company document. Remember, don't post anything on social media that you do not want the company to see. Also, do not friend your FSM or members of management on any social media platform. They can see what you post and they may use it against you. And if you receive a request from any member of management, don't feel pressured into accepting that request. You can always hit the decline button. Speaking of social media, the company does have the flight service official Facebook page. We ask you not go to that page and ask questions that could possibly lead to discipline. A good example of that is, can I travel on a wrap? That could open yourself up to an investigation by the company because you did ask on a company sponsored page. Remember, if you post any photos of you in your uniform or you indicate on any social media platform that you do work for American, that provides a nexus for anything that you post. And as Margot stated, that means anything you post could ultimately be directed back to the company, and it could lead to an investigation, and that has corrective action up to and including your termination. Please refrain from posting disparaging comments or reviews of the company on any social media platform. And also, do not post on social media or send private messages that bully and or harass other flight attendants, team members, or groups of individuals, as that could be considered a violation of the work environment policy, also leading to investigation and corrective action up to and including termination. And please do not post any information on social media about not reporting for duty in any way, and then later that day post photos or updates of going on vacation or doing any other personal outings while you are out of work.
All right.
One more thing.
Yes,
When in doubt, don't post
correct.
it.
Thanks, Nick. All good reminders. Okay, Ray, if you wouldn't mind, giving examples or talking about what are some of the more positive aspects if you're going to be posting to social media.
Thanks, Larry, and good afternoon to everyone. So every company has a social media policy. Every social media policy is very similar to each other. So here's a couple of the do's. It was very hard to get some do's because there's not a lot out there. But the first one is limit comments on Facebook other than comments regarding hobbies, interests, and families. Post pictures of daily fun activities that do not have any negative impact on your job. 3, which is one of the most important things we should stick to, is know your audience on Facebook. Very important. 4, respect any others and policies of Facebook and all copyrights of what you are posting. If in doubt about posting that could violate the American Airlines social media policy, either ask your FSM or go to the resource in JetNet, which is a social media policy for American. Always read that policy. Posting positive AA posts should always be checked with the policy or your FSM. Post from your job that may harm your employment, such as pictures of you in your uniform. Just check your surroundings before you do that. And also the most important thing of all is when in doubt, don't push post. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Okay, we've received some questions in regards to social media, so we're going to answer those now. First one being, a friend took a screenshot of a post on my Facebook page and sent it to AAHR. Can the company discipline me for that? Kat, can you answer that?
Yes, I can, Larry. Anything reported to HR or ethics point will trigger an investigation if what posted violates the company's social media policy.
So basically, as Alan, or I think it was Nick that mentioned, that anything you post could later on, even if it was on your own page, in a private group, we've had instances where they've been screenshots that have been then later sent to the company and resulted in discipline and termination for individuals. So please keep that in mind. Okay, another question. Can I create a TikTok dance video on duty or in my uniform? Grace, could you answer that, please?
Yes, Larry, I definitely can answer. So while that seems fun, the company's social media policy does state that you are to avoid the use of company material, logo brands, images, and trademark items. These should not be used on a personal social media account without the appropriate approval from management. Further information can also be found, once again, on the social media platform on JetNet.
All right, thank you, Grace. All righty, here's another question. If I did not create the post on social media, but I liked or commented on it or shared the post, could I still be in trouble? Kat.
Again, yes, if your share or comment of the post can be investigated by HR if it is reported to ethics point.
All right, thank you. Okay, let us move on now to our next topic, which is reserve positioning for RAPs. Again, this is a topic that our department has had cases that we've had to defend, present, and so this was something that we thought was really important to highlight in the Vice President's Town Hall. So we're going to begin with an overview of reserve positioning for RAPs. And Grace is going to cover this topic for us. Thank you,
Yes,
Grace.
I'm happy to do so. So let's first start by visiting the JCBA, section 8, section 12, letter H, and number 1. It says a reserve shall be required to report within 2 hours from the time she or he is notified of a sequence by crew scheduling. So reserve availability period, otherwise known as RAP, out of base, not adequately positioned for a RAP. These are the words the company uses to issue discipline to a flight attendant. Also, there is a company communication that is dated April the 20th, 2021, and that deals with some reserve issues. There is no language in the JCBA or the Flight Attendant Attendance and Performance Program that states you are required to reside in the city you are based in. However, again, the JCBA states section 12, letter H, number 1, a reserve will be required to report within 2 hours from the time she or he is notified of a sequence by crew schedule. And at co-terminals, he or she will be afforded a 3-hour call out. So the actions that a reserve takes after notification. So you are expected, required, obligated to put on a uniform and show up according to our contract. Do things happen? Yes, we understand that, but we also understand that all actions have an outcome. Again, your FSM is not your friend or your confidant. They have a job to do, and please be aware of that. How an investigation gets started? Well, you're unable to make that assignment. So, given by crew scheduling at the time of your notification, you get a trip missed, you late notification of absence, or a sick on contact. These all fall under the performance side of our award. Reserve not positioned for duty, reserve out of base, fall under performance as well. So, conversations uncover your location. Social media uncovers your location. Your tablet locator uncovers your location. And your travel records uncover your location. APFA upholds the language of the JCBA and the Attendance and Performance Award. So you should be aware and very cognizant of all your actions and the position the company has taken in regards to this issue.
Thank you, Grace. We really just want to remind everyone so that you avoid any situation, please, especially if you're commuting on reserve, don't get into a position where you're unable to make that 2 or 3 hour contractual requirement. That's really what we want to stress here. We have some questions also regarding wraps. So let's see here. Okay, when must I be in base prior to the beginning of my wrap? Nick, you could answer that.
So we look at the JCBA, we go to section 31, letter I, number 2, that's in the commuter policy. That states that flight attendants must make all reasonable efforts to arrive in crew base at least 1 hour prior to the scheduled check-in or the start of the wrap. Short answer, 1 hour prior to the beginning of the wrap.
All righty, thanks, Nick. Our next question, and Grace touched upon this a minute ago. Do I have to live within a certain distance to the airport? Ray, could you answer that, please?
Absolutely, Larry. No, you do not have to live in a certain distance to the airport. However, in the JCBA 12H1, does state that you have to make it to the airport within 2 or 3 hours from where you are. So hypothetically, if you are staying in Pennsylvania and you are based in New York or Philadelphia, New York, make sure that you are able to get to that airport within 3 hours.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, if I can't make my reserve assignment, can they review my travel records? Robin?
Yes, absolutely. Your travel records are company property. They are reviewable by your FSM at any time and also by our HR department to see where you are when you are given an assignment like this scheduled.
Yes, thank you. And we have seen that in our cases that have come through SBA. Sorry, I went out a little order here. There was one before that. Before my standby shift wrap is over, can I fly home if there are no more flights scheduled? Mark, could you answer that, please?
Sure, Larry. That answer is no, unless given permission by crew scheduling. So I would give crew scheduling a call and request an early release, and hopefully it's going to get to a golden day.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Larry, I think I misspoke when I was talking about being in the base, being the wrap. I may have said section 31 of the JCBA. It's actually section 37 I-2, the JCBA. I want to make sure I corrected that.
Yes, thank you. Okay. All righty. All right. I think those are all the questions here on reserve wrap. We had another question here that was listed under other, that doesn't cover our topics, but we're going to go ahead and answer some of these as well. The person asks, no back-to-back wraps, like PM then AM. It's like being on 24/7 on call. Can't get any rest. Not safe when you have to go to work. So this is really a negotiations topic in regards to the reserve section. And I know that is something that they are currently negotiating or will be negotiating. So I would really direct that question. We recently had the negotiation survey that was released, I believe it was this week, Josh. And you can follow, Josh has it up there on the screen now on the APFA website. You can take the survey, and I would highly recommend that you ask those questions or say your concerns there regarding wraps and the back-to-back wrap. It's the link is there. And you can begin the survey, and it's a great opportunity, specifically when we're talking about reserve and that section, as well as all the other sections where you can give give your feedback. Okay. All right. Another question. This is in regards to the holiday incentive program that the company put out. Someone asked, if the family leave absence counts against you in the perfect attendance bonus group. So the LOA stated that any absence that or any removal, I should say, and or absence that occurs between 11/15 and 1/2 of this 1/2 of 2022 would disqualify you from the, and I think this is what the person is asking, this would disqualify you from the extra 150%, basically as the company is calling it the perfect attendance during that period. So even even if you had a sick occurrence converted over to a family leave, it would not qualify you for the company's holiday incentive program. All right. Okay. All right. Our next question is, can you clarify the word report in 12H1 report, is that at the gate, in terminal, anywhere, just past KCM? Alan, could you answer that?
Actually, this is a really good question. This has been part of the contract on the LUS side for decades, all the way back to when I began flying. That is to the airport, and that includes the parking lot. It is not to the gate, not past KCM or any place else. That is 2 hours or 3 hours if you're in a co-terminal to report to the airport, and that does include the parking lot. We always suggest that when you get there, call scheduling, let them know that where you are, that if you are in the parking lot. Also, if you decide to park in paid parking that is close to the terminal, you're on this quick call where you've essentially been quick called out, you'll get full reimbursement for that parking as well, if you choose to do that.
Okay, Alan, thank you. I believe that is all of our questions here. I just wanted to add that there were some questions that were submitted that were more specific to the individual. So we will answer those, but you'll receive a private email response to that question. Okay. All righty. I think that is it, right, Josh? Yeah, that completes all of our questions that have been submitted. Let's see here. We want to thank you for joining us today and taking the time to familiarize yourself with the Vice President's Department and SBA and our process and what we do for you in this department. This town hall is recorded and will be uploaded via the APFA website, so you can return and watch it. Tell your fellow flight attendants about it. They can watch it again. And the hotline should be out by tomorrow with all the appropriate links to the Vice President's Town Hall. So again, thank you. We wish everyone safe travels and happy holidays with the holidays coming up. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice day.